It's 5 o'clock, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is going to be the March 11th, 2025 Springdale School Board meeting. And I'd like to start by inviting Cy Bates up as our senior representative from Springdale High School to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You obviously have a lot going on right now in preparation for Saturday. But,
Yes, sir.
If you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you came from school-wise and plans for the future, and then we'll go from there.
All right. I'm Cy Bates. I go to Springdale High School. I'm a senior. I play on the basketball team, and when I was younger, I went to Lee Elementary and then Elmdale, and then I moved to Fayetteville. Then I went to Hellstern, and then I went to Fayetteville schools, and then Bentonville schools, and now I'm back at Springdale. And what was the other question?
Whatever you want to tell us, future plans.
Oh yeah, future, yeah. After high school, I plan on going to college somewhere and playing basketball, and then maybe get a business degree and learn how to work the camera so I can be good at that.
Okay. Board, do you have any questions for Mr. Bates?
I have a chicken wing rush.
I did. I noticed that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I had a chicken wing rush.
Yeah, I like chicken wings. They're my favorite food.
You guys have any questions for him?
Well, you led the pledge tonight. We heard you led the anthem at one of the games.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they had technical difficulties, so I just started singing it, and everyone joined in.
So cool.
Built-in leadership.
Yes, sir.
So are you already doing some work with your camera and your movie camera and all that stuff?
Yes, sir. I started in football season, then when basketball season started, I fell off of it. But once, probably basketball ends, and I'll hop back on it.
Do you have any ideas of where you want to go to school next year?
I don't know at the moment, but some schools in Kansas have been reaching out to me, some D2s and then some JUCOs, so probably the JUCO route.
Awesome. We're excited to watch you guys on Saturday. I think a few of us may be able to get down there and watch. We had a great time watching you all season.
Yes, sir.
State tournament. So we're rooting for you guys.
Thank you.
And there was a great article in the paper about you recently.
Yes, ma'am.
About your leadership.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Very good. Are your mom or dad here?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Thank you. All right. Great job. See you later.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so that brings us to item B, agenda for the meeting. Dr. Boone, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, sir, we have a late edition, if that's okay. I'd like to go down in Ms. Hopkins' area and F on her presentation about the financial officer and add a C at 412 Kansas. So we had an opportunity to purchase the last home on the block over by. Yeah, it's on here.
It's on
It's on
C.
ours.
Okay, it's on yours.
Yeah.
So we added that. So
Okay.
it wasn't on one of the stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
So I have a motion by Mr. Hutchinson and a second by Mrs. Creek to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, brings us to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Ramos and a second by Mrs. Cook to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, presentation by Dr. Cleveland.
Absolutely. First, I'd like to invite Ms. Hart up. She just can see you, absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Hart, for being here. She's going to talk a little bit about the Iditarod.
The Iditarod, yes. Okay, so, and if you go to the next slide, there are some pictures. They're a lot more interesting than I am, for sure. There they are. So before I get started, I just want to clear up a couple of things. If you watched the news story that came out, they said that we were being honored nationally for the Iditarod. We were actually honored, we had a spotlight in the U.S. Department of Ed on their website for after-school programs. It was actually for a project we did in November on, we did a balloon parade, like a Macy's Day parade. Kids had to create, we had some STEM, we had some history. It was a multi-disciplinary activity that we did. But this one has been submitted, and we're really, really hoping that we get another national award. So this one has not been, has not received the recognition yet, but we're sure hoping. In addition, they said that this happened at the elementary school. It did. Sonora Elementary was definitely there, but it was a group effort with Sonora Middle as well. We went over, and a lot of those kids at the middle school were mentoring, and we have a pretty good partnership. And we've got Miss Brandy Wilhite. She's here in the crowd too. She is the program director there at the middle school. So this was a group effort. And what I have here, I'm just going to read. When they do a submission, Little Rock, that oversees our 21st Century Grant, they asked for just kind of a statement and pictures. So I'm just going to read the statement, if that's okay, that we submitted. And these are a few of the pictures. We added a few more. They always say keep, just a few pictures, but how do you pick? Like, they're all so amazing. So this was a really fun project that we did. And the Iditarod is actually happening right now in Alaska. So we started our race just a few days after the actual Iditarod started. So students enrolled in the 21st Century programs at Sonora Elementary and Sonora Middle School got to have a unique experience where they found out what it was like to be an Alaskan instead of an Arkansan through an interdisciplinary unit about the Iditarod sled dog race. In Alaska, students were able to use math, literacy, geography, history, science, and engineering as they learned about the last great race. Students learned facts about Alaska, read books about the history of the Surum race, history of dog sledding, and the importance of the Iditarod sled dog race, bringing and preserving the culture in Alaska. Math skills were needed as students looked into the 2025 Iditarod musher profiles, and they had to analyze their stats. Students discovered a chemical reaction that created a snow-like substance from the two household items. The learning led to an engineering undertaking. The students were tasked with designing and creating a beautiful yet sturdy sled that could be used in a very modified Iditarod race. This race happened around Sonora Middle School's campus. Students ran a relay race with checkpoints, just like in the Iditarod. At each checkpoint, teams answered questions in the unit before being allowed to advance down the trail. At the end, students received medals, certificates for leadership, teamwork, creativity, and the creativity they demonstrated. Overall, the unit was a huge success, and students have a much deeper understanding and appreciation for our 49th state. So hopefully, the Department of Ed will recognize us for our hard work. So up here, you can kind of see our sleds. They were put on scooters, and we did have one rider and one puller, and they had to name them. They had to display the spirit of the Iditarod in their names and in their designs. This is just a few of them. Polar positivity, all the kids did. They focused on the dogs' paws with the positivity, but then they put their own hands all over the sled, and they ended up, you can see them up there, they've got a gold medal because they won first place in the race. So it was a whole lot of fun, and the Channel 5 News did come out. They videoed our chaos, and they did a really great job of cleaning it up. So if you get a chance to watch the news, you can tell how much fun everybody's having. And within what we found out was the guy who came, Luke Patrick was our reporter. He actually used to work in Alaska. So he is sending his story to Channel 2 News in Alaska, where he worked in Anchorage. And he's hoping that they air our story there. And then next year, he wants to jump on early with us and he wants to maybe let us FaceTime, maybe let us go out to some of the checkpoints, maybe meet some of the dogs in the race, and maybe make even a bigger connection there. So, anyway.
Field trip to Alaska.
That's what I said. We're going to find that grant. No bus.
Well, thank you for
Uh-huh.
presenting that, Bob.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Gree. These guys are some really good people to introduce. You've seen some of these young people before. We're going to talk about the mock trial state championship.
Dr. Cleveland and board, thank you for the opportunity for me to introduce a fine group of young people. As you know, HAR-BER has a rich tradition of a strong debate and forensics program. This doesn't happen by accident. I mean, we have a great group of young people that come together, and they're led by Mr. Cottle and, you know, a team of others at other schools. And again, this is prideful for our school. Recently, they competed at a mock trial competition, and I'm proud to announce for the 6th time in our school's history, they were named state champions. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Cottle.
Hello. Hi, I'm Daniel Cottle, and I coach debate and forensics at HAR-BER High School. I direct the programs there. This year I picked up mock trial. It says Lauren Lohendorf, but I want to give a shout out to my partner in crime, Monica Whitaker. Where are you? Right here. This is our other mock trial coach. Coach Lohendorf actually coaches our forensics there at HAR-BER High School. Come on. Coach Whitaker, she's been with this mock trial program for over 10 years, well before I came. Was a part of all of the other 4 championships before I was here at HAR-BER. And really this year she's been teaching me about mock trial because I hadn't done mock trial since 2010 as a student teacher. And so if it wasn't for her and our other volunteer coach, Trey Bowerman, he's an alumni coach, we would not have got another one this year. This team is ranked 24th in the nation last year, 36th in the nation year before that. This year we're hoping for 23 or higher. We'll be happy with, you know, a little bit better each time. These young people behind me, they're marvelous. They're great people. They devote more than a part-time job to be able to do mock trial at this level. Pretty much every week they do 10 to 20 hours a week of outside of school practice to be able to win at this level. Our team this year won on a 3-2 split, 5 judges, and by 1 single point. That's how competitive it is. I'm thoroughly proud of all these young people, and actually I'd like to invite Sam Myers just to give you the student perspective real quick.
Hi, I'm Sam. I am the team captain for this year. I've been doing mock trials for 3 years, but I usually find my way into the back of like every single photo. So if you look into like the back right, I should just be hiding behind somebody. But mock trial has always been something that I've really enjoyed. I've been an attorney for the entire time I've been doing it, and it's something I really like to do. The downsides of it, though, is when we had that snow day, or snow week, I should say, right before a tournament, it wasn't like a time to catch up on work. It was like, oh, let's learn 10 hours on mock trial every day. But it was definitely, it's definitely rewarding in the fact that you find a lot of love for speech and debate and just public speaking in general for like through these tournaments and definitely through competing with others. And the community is so great as well. Even though like we are very competitive, like Coach Cottle said, every single team we go against, we try to be friends with, and there's really no animosity on the circuit towards one another. But these guys behind me, the team, really couldn't have done it without any single one of them. Every single one of them put like their hearts and souls into this and really want to take it home to nationals when we go to Arizona in about 2 months. So that case will turn into 79 pages to like 110, 120. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah.
How many teams from Arkansas go to nationals?
There's only one team. Yes, sir. First place, although 2 years ago, we were the host state, and I was on the runner-up team, so we actually did get to go that year. But usually it's just one one team every year gets to go to nationals.
Where's it at this year?
It'll be in Arizona. It's okay. I think it's in Phoenix, but I might be wrong. So,
Your teammates are saying.
yeah.
What's the case this year?
This year was a murder case. So yes, it was last year. A kid died at a trampoline park, and it was a negligence case. So a little bit more interesting this year. It was about like a restaurant owner, and then their owner killed the other person for $500,000 through a buy-sell agreement. But then there was also a mob boss into the mix. If you look, the guy also hiding behind somebody in the tan suit. We acted like he's from New Jersey. We trained him on a New Jersey accent constantly, and he was the mob boss guy for our case. So, yeah, that was kind of the team. We always like to put witnesses in accents and really get them into character.
So do you want to be an attorney or in law or?
I've been thinking about going into law. I really want to do consulting, but I also really want to get my JD just because I think law is definitely something that I really want to pursue.
So are you a senior?
I am, unfortunately. This is my last year competing, but I know they'll probably do the exact same thing next year and win it all.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Good luck. Let us know
Yeah,
how it
that's how
goes.
Arizona goes. You said.
Well, thank you. It should be. I think it's May 7th through 10th is the competition dates, so it'll definitely be fun.
Do you want to introduce the rest of the team?
Oh, sure. Right here in the blue striped tie, we have Caleb Whittle. He's also one of our attorneys. And then Adriana Perez, she's also one of our other attorneys. Both of them do prosecution and defense as well. Landrick, he's the one back here. He was one of our witnesses this year. Winona Watson was also one of our witnesses this year. Caleb Baker was also one of our witnesses. He was a law enforcement officer. He was kind of born to be one, like we like to say. Aaron over here was our wonderful timekeeper. He joined us 4 months before the tournament, and we just handed him a stopwatch, and he figured it out. So he did a great job. Madeline over here was an expert. We gave her a British accent, so she sounded a little bit more fancy. But she did very good. She competed in the final round, as well as did Landrick. And then finally, Emily Starkey, who competed in the final round as our defendant. So we were on the defense for the final round. Thankfully, it was a defense-heavy case. But Starkey did a really good job. She actually picked up the character 2 days before the trial, and then competed with it. So it was definitely impressive to see kind of her growth through that.
Impressive. Y'all look sharp too.
We appreciate it.
So how many of you are seniors?
Just 2 of us. So probably.
We'll come back.
Yes. Well, I guess raise your hand if you're a junior really quick. Yeah, so we do have a senior heavy team for next year. We do have 1 sophomore, and that will be Madeline. So she still has she will still have some competing years left in her.
Well, congratulations and good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Are your parents here?
My parents are not here.
Anybody?
Oh, is anybody's parents here?
Everybody can drive.
They are not here. But yes,
Great job.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Mr. Cottle, I heard you went a little above and beyond at the state.
Yeah, something happened.
Impressive. Thank you for all you do.
That's right there. Look. Looks like they're all headed out to take a picture. Sam didn't tell you, but he's been. Girls. I watched him ride a bicycle for years.
Oh, that's true.
Great job, Sam. Proud of you. His dad's my doctor, so great family. Miss Robinson, do you mind to come forward? Miss Robinson's going to come forward this evening, and we're going to talk a little AP, aren't we? A little AP.
Yeah, I hate to follow that, the fun of kids, and I get to talk about data. So I'm always excited. Thank you for this opportunity to share the AP realm. I am the AP coordinator at HAR-BER High School. I'm also assistant principal. Margaret Robinson is my name. And I'm always happy to talk about AP. It's a very important realm for us at HAR-BER. And so what we've got here, the first couple of slides, Sharon, just so you can see the growth that's happening in Springdale with the AP program. This is 10 through 12th numbers. And so this is a 5-year summary of where we've been in Springdale, and we're on the upwards trend, which we're super excited about that. That means more kids are taking part in the AP program. The next slide we have is the number of exams that are given each year. So we take those numbers of kids, the 1483, and they're participating in 2,521 exams. So we're seeing more and more students take multiple exams, which is also encouraging, means they're taking rigorous coursework and pushing themselves. And then thirdly is the percent of pass rate. We had a little bit of a drop last year for the district. So this is the numbers of students that are scoring 3 or higher. And so 51% of the kids in Springdale schools last year scored a 3 or higher. The importance of that means that they are getting college credit for that 3 or higher. So that's very encouraging. That means our students are prepared. I do want to put you a little asterisk on 2020. We all know what that year was. And that's an unusual year of pass rate because they pretty much only gave a 45 minutes test and a lot of people passed it. So that's kind of an anomaly. So the other trend is really doing well. We're increasing number of exams and we're still staying above that 50% mark. That's really good. So that's the data for the district, and so we're trending upwards with AP participation. So to break that down and what that looks like at HAR-BER, I can speak a lot about that because that's my role at HAR-BER is the AP coordinator. So this is HAR-BER's 5-year summary, and so last year we had 799 AP kids. We gave 1,400, right over 1,500 exams, and 70% of our kids scored 3 or higher on those exams. So we are really, really pleased with the trend at HAR-BER with the number of kids. And I've got a slide here in a minute that shows you how many are enrolled for this May and will be taking exams in this May. So right now we have 876 students registered in 27 different courses, and we are scheduled to give 1,731 exams, and that's just HAR-BER High. So it's a big job. So the new testing for this year is digital. There are 2 types of digital tests that we're going to be given. We have a hybrid model where some of the classes like AP Calculus, AP Biology, some of the classes that have some technical parts to their testing, they're going to be, their multiple choice part will be digital, and then they will have a free response booklet where they work out problems on an actual student response paper. The rest of the exams are going to be fully digital, so they will all be testing on a Chromebook, and the whole test will be done in a digital format. AP pushed that fast this year. We piloted 3 tests last year, digital. They offered that pilot to us, and we did that in 3 exams. And in order to do that, I had to have a lot of work done with the technology team. They installed enough Wi-Fi capacity in our aux gym to test over 200, up to 250, or even higher than that, kids on a computer at one time. So your Wi-Fi capacity was critical of importance. The other thing is, with that, testing 220 kids, that means we have to have capacity to plug in. How many of those Chromebooks don't come charged? And unfortunately, that was a lot. So our electrical team through the maintenance department in Springdale built a phenomenal system that they set up panels so we wouldn't blow circuits. They ran extension cords down through the desks, and we had the capacity to plug in every 4 desks. We could plug in a Chromebook, so we can flawlessly test upwards of 220 or so testers in our aux gym. So that was phenomenal cooperation with our technology team and our maintenance team here in Springdale. So I could not have done it without them last year. This year, our biggest exam is like 213, so we're going to have that capacity again to be able to test those kids with the Wi-Fi and the power that we need to be able to make that happen. So here's kind of a timeline of how we go. We have the great big desk move, I call it, on May the 2nd, because obviously if we're going to test in the aux gym, we have to have places for 215 kids to sit. So we have to move those desks from classrooms to the aux gym, and we do that through our whole school. So I call that the great big desk move. And so we'll set up the aux gym and we'll leave it set up for 2 solid weeks. For the testing to take place. We have one round of tests, 12 tests that'll happen the first week, and then the second week we'll have the final 15 tests. So it's broken up into 2 weeks. We have a few tests that submit their work, AP Art, Studio Art. We have Drawing, 2D, 3D. They submit theirs through a digital portfolio, as well as Computer Science Principles and AP Research. Those are all digital projects they do all year, and they submit those, so there's not really an exam for those. And all the digital submissions are done by April 30th. The last thing, well, not the last thing, next to last thing I want to talk about, this is just kind of what it looks like to plan the logistics at Har-BER High. Because not only do you have digital testing, you have kids who get accommodations in those tests. So we can have accommodations like extra time, 50% extra time. We have accommodations 100% time. Students that have a medical condition, they have to test their blood, so they have to test in a room by themselves. So what you're going to see in these next several slides are just a breakdown of the different rooms that each test requires and by day. And so this is kind of my mind and how it works and how I do the logistics of all of these different tests to make sure every student has the accommodations they need for that test. So there's several slides here. And every exam, it depends on who's taking that and what accommodations. My largest test is AP Psychology, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. This is the largest test, so I have 8 different rooms that I have to plan for that exam. And so that's kind of what it's like with World and Seminar, all of these large exams that we give. We have to have accommodated rooms for different testing. So we have to get proctors to give those tests and what have you. So it's a chore, and adding all the tests every year, it creates more of a challenge of finding places for them to test. But I enjoy it. It's something that I really like to do. So finally, everybody has an invite at your desk. We are having our very first ever Distinguished Scholar Banquet on Thursday. And so we recognized at Har-BER that we have a lot of really sharp kids. A couple of them are in this group back here, and you're going to meet a couple of more a little bit later in the program. So we wanted to find a way, how can we really, really recognize these top seniors? So we have 52 seniors that met our criteria for the Distinguished Scholar Banquet, and they had to have one or more of these criteria. And so you see the breakdown there. We have 52 kids that met these requirements, or met one of them. 4 National Merit finalists. Sam, as you just heard talking, is one of those. 30 plus composite ACT. We have 31 of those. AP Scholar with Distinction, we have 27. Now that is a College Board recognition. They set the criteria at 6 or more AP exams with an average score. Capstone Diploma, again, that's a College Board designation. You take AP Seminar, AP Research, and 4 more. And you get qualifying scores and you earn a capstone diploma, which is a very distinguished award, especially for other states. They've had it a long time and they recognize that. And then finally, our AP Excellence Medallion, that's if you take 10 or more AP classes at Har-BER, we recognize you with an Excellence Medallion, and we had 28 of those. So as you can see, we're very blessed with some wonderful students and some sharp minds, and we are super excited to celebrate them on Thursday. So you are all invited. Have some good food from Cargill and recognize these kids. Dr. Greep will hood all of the students that are distinguished scholars. They'll get a hood to wear for graduation regalia, and they'll get their other regalia. So we're looking forward. It's going to be an exciting ceremony. Thank you.
Good evening, board and Dr. Cleveland. Thank you for allowing us to show off a little hardware that our students won a couple of weekends ago. I'm going to introduce Miss Davis. She is our sponsor for the junior high quiz bowl team, and let her introduce the students that did some fabulous work.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Miss Davis. I currently teach advanced 6th grade and 7th grade math over at DTSOI, and I very proudly coach this group behind me for the junior high quiz bowl team. For our members, for our junior high quiz bowl, we are AAA affiliated. And so we did regionals at the end of January with other local 7A junior high quiz bowl teams. And then we competed at state a couple weeks ago, the Saturday before the snowpocalypse, and where we actually got first place in all of state for 7A. As far as my members here, so members of junior high teams can comprise of any member or any student 7th grade through 9th grade. I do not have any 9th grade teams ninth grade students this year, so I will be very happy that I get to continue on actually with these students next year as well. So I have 3 7th graders. I have Diego Chavez Cono. Not here. Okay. Nathan Udoge. And Henry Moody. 8th grade wise, I have Danielle Robertson, her brother Garrett Robertson, Allie Lott, Charlie Schneider, Roger Corden, and Quentin Clevenger, who is our team captain, who couldn't be here today because he's actually with the Arkansas Philharmonic Junior Orchestra playing over at Thayton today as well. So, so he had to choose, and I said, that's fine. So like I said, we were first place in our Northwest regionals where we competed against many 9th grade only teams as well. So we are a fairly young team doing very well with that. We actually also got 2nd place last year at Northwest Arkansas regionals. And then we got first at 7A state, like I said, that Saturday before the snowpocalypse. Roger Corden here is the MVP high point scorer both at regionals and state. His average is around 22 questions correct per round, which is impressive considering the fact toss-up wise you can only have a maximum of 44 questions. So he's getting correct about 50% of the questions as a team. So they all come together as a group of 5, buzz in, and he's buzzing in and getting it correct about 22 out of the 44 possible toss-ups, which is very extremely impressive in the world of quiz bowl, in case you guys never seen it. So, do you want to say anything?
Roger, what's one of your favorite questions?
Oh, yeah. I think my personal favorite question was actually a lightning round-esque thing we got. So in the 8th grade, so last year's tournament, one of the reasons why we lost was because we got this super hard one. It was I don't even remember, but it was super tough, and we were scribbling down on paper for 30 minutes, and then the other team got name the fast food brand who makes this meal. Well, we finally got a bit of kind of karma this time around because the other team got questions on a city they'd never been to, Baltimore. We knew all 4 of them, but they didn't know any of them and guessed. And then we got 2 questions on Baltimore, 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 and then we got 2 how many sides does each shape have? That was awesome.
That's Roger for you. In case you guys have never met Roger, Roger's pretty awesome. Yeah. But I do. I'm very proud of all my students, all of my kiddos. They've all worked hard. It doesn't just involve going out there on your own, buzzing in questions, but also working together as a team. And I've been with about half of them since sixth grade year, actually coaching them as a sixth grade team as well. And seeing them grow as a team and seeing them grow in their personalities has been just fully rewarding for me. And just seeing their joy, being able to, take home that state trophy. And like I said, our goal is next year to bring it home as well, since I'll get to have all, if not more, possible, because I have sixth graders coming up into seventh grade who I know will be great as well. So
is there a national, or does it just?
It stops at state, yeah.
Yeah, as much as we'd love to actually do a national tournament, that doesn't.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Anything else? Yeah, I do. Most of my parents showed up. I think all of them are here now. Yeah, so all of these, we have these back 2 rows, or these middle 2 rows. He said, go ahead and stand up.
Stand up, parents.
And I can't talk enough about the positivity of my parents. So when it came to state, we didn't carpool out we didn't ride a bus down. All parents actually took their kids down because they wanted to see their kids at state. So we had quite a bit of a backing as well. So I can't brag enough on my parents for taking that step and being like, hey, yeah, nope, we'd be happy to drive the kiddos down. So
Where was it at?
it was down in Bryant.
For how many days?
Just one day. It was just on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. So, sweet.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Praise the Lord.
That was great. Mike, I hope that you can follow that. These Questbridge young people, they're going to do great, I'm sure.
Cleveland, hello school board. I'm here to talk about our Questbridge scholarship recipients, and this came from Ms. Cook. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, you. Back in September, you whispered something under your breath maybe about Questbridge. And just as I was leaving, you were walking, I was leaving.
I was asking how past years, like the last 5 years.
By the way, can we get our kids to come on up here behind me? So anyway, these are our 5 Questbridge kids this year. They've been matched with, as you can tell, Frank Gomez has been matched with Caltech University. Ethana Hang has been matched with Yale. Diego Hernandez with Washington and Lee. Alan Maldonado with Washington University, and of course Glenn Nolan at Springdale High School has been matched with the University of Chicago. So what I wanted to do first is just kind of chat about what Questbridge is for folks that don't understand what that might be. Can I do that real quick? And so Ashley Tarvin, do you mind? She has worked with these, she's been my go-to, so I'm gonna let her chat about just the nuts and bolts of what Questbridge is real quick, okay? Do you mind doing that? Okay.
Questbridge takes a holistic approach with about 25,000 applicants, and these students are top 1% in their assessments, academics, leaderships, and the essays that they write accompany maybe barriers they've faced or how they've advocated in their community for others. So Questbridge is top 50 colleges in the country, and whenever they select this top 1% of students, it really is a selective honor. But the match process, the college is looking for a student that would thrive on their campus and with the majors. And then the students are also narrowing down the process. So it's a recruiting tool, whether they're going into engineering or medicine, law. It's just an excellent opportunity for these students to shine and have a complete full ride plus a stipend each semester that they are in their 4 years of college. And they also have a supportive community when they're there. They have a Questbridge partnership, meetings once a month. They help them acclimate to their community. A lot of these are private colleges and smaller campuses where they get to know a lot of people, and so it's just an excellent opportunity. We have some of the top, as far as statistics go, in the nation. Springdale has some of the most, I think the whole South might have 32. So you're looking at this group right here. So they did an excellent job. And Mr. Fontanopolis, do you want them to introduce themselves?
I'm just going to say, behind me represents, on average, if these students were in-state tuition and room and board, on average, $75,000 a school.
And most of them are ranging up to
For 1 year.
$500,000 for 4 years.
Year. And so it's in that spirit that I think, that ought to be celebrated right there. That's pretty cool. Let's start with Ethana. Let's start with you. And I'm just going to chat with you for a second. Why Yale? Why did you pick Yale, and what do you hope to do there?
Hi, school board. Thank you so much for having me again. It is truly a privilege and an honor to stand before you here today. My name is Ethana Hang. I'm a senior at HAR-BER High School, and I am incredibly privileged to match to Yale University. I have always loved Yale. I was one of those, rare species of children that knew what they wanted to be when they were really young. I've always loved healthcare and medicine. That's kind of like the niche that I fell into. So from a young age, I knew I loved school. There was no one that supported me more than my teachers, and there was no one that I wanted to work with more than my peers. So Yale was always my goal. I loved the school. I loved, the prestige of the Ivy League. But as I learned more about it through the college application process, I realized that there was no school where I could fully be the student that I wanted to be. I am a STEM kid. I love math and I love science, but I also love to read and I love to learn about history and the humanities. And so Yale was a place where I knew I didn't have to sacrifice one part of my academics for another. I didn't have to just, be in a research lab all the time. I could also, do research and innovate, but then go study in a library. And Yale was just the epitome of who I wanted to be as an innovator and also as a servant leader. So yes, so I ranked 9 schools, and out of those 9, Yale was at the top of my list. So I am incredibly lucky and fortunate to have matched to Yale.
So do you have a trip planned to go to Yale before you actually start again? Is that coming up?
Yes. So Yale does something called Bulldog Days. It's like a 3-day orientation for first years. Where they can come and explore the campus, meet other first years, discover like extracurriculars that they want to go into and stuff like that. So I go from April 21st through the 23rd. So right before AP exam week is when I'm going to be at Yale.
Do you have another scholarship or two that you're working on right now?
Yes, I have like a few small ones, but it's mainly the big Questbridge one that I'm incredibly grateful for.
Ms. Farrar is in our audience. She helped you with this process. Stand up, please. Let everybody see you. And your dad is here. Where's your dad? Hi, Dad.
Dad, Ken, and then Mr. Fink.
And Mr. Fink, who teaches math, he's had a little bit of an impression on you. What do you think about this young lady?
She's not bad.
I've got worse.
Okay. I want to talk to Diego. Can we get Diego up here? Hi, Diego. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. Now, what made you think about Washington and Lee?
I was really attracted to the campus and the majors. It really had like what I was looking for in a college, and I just thought it would be like the ideal college for me, and it helped me become like a person I want to become in the future.
Okay, cool. What are you going to study when you get there?
I'm gonna study bioengineering.
What are you going to do with that?
I plan to do. I want to help people so I can make medicine. I can make artificial organs and prosthetics, and just discover all the little niches in biology and chemistry.
Cool. How did you hear about Washington?
It was through the Questbridge because we really explore all like 50 colleges to narrow down like what exactly you want to major in, what campus you want to go to, and they help you find the college that's right for you.
Are you working on another scholarship at all?
Just some little ones.
Okay. School board, I'll hush. If y'all got something to.
Where is Washington?
You're doing a great job.
Where is Washington and Lee? Let's hear it.
It's in Lexington, Virginia.
Lexington, Virginia. Yeah.
He's a member of the band. You want to talk about your brother?
Okay. I have a band, so.
What's the name of that band?
Los Carnales Hernandez.
Oh my, I love it. I love it. Go ahead.
So we were a little group started at SOI, and my brother, my oldest brother, who goes to the University of Arkansas, started playing the guitar.
Yeah.
My younger brother, he's in 10th grade. He goes to HAR-BER with me, and he started playing the accordion. And then I got onto the bass, and we started a little band, and we play at little parties like here and there, all across like the state. Sometimes in like, we've played in like other states too, like Missouri and Oklahoma, and we really get to express ourselves in.
Do you have a cover fee? I mean, are you charging? Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a little money. Professional money.
And we get to showcase like our heritage, our music, and at like our schools at SOI. We haven't got into at HAR-BER because we've just had a lot going on this year, but I think we plan on doing it in the Multicultural Festival that's going to be later this year.
Okay, cool. Ms. Tarvin knows a lot about Diego because he started out at the School of Innovation. There were some science classes that he wanted to take at HAR-BER High School, and that's what Ms. Farrar was able to kind of finish up the whole Questbridge process. Very proud of you. Way to go. Let's talk to Alan Maldonado. How about that? Alan.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. And you're going to Washington U
Yes, sir.
in St. Louis. What made you pick that place, and what are you going to do there?
At first, I was like really scared of leaving my home. I really love my family. I have a little brother who's 5. I really don't want to leave him at all. And so Washington University is the closest university out of the 50 schools that Questbridge has to offer. And that was a school I just really wanted to go to because of the location, really. It's only 5 hours away. Maybe one day I'll plan to come back on the weekend. I don't know yet. But one of the reasons I chose it also was because of their engineering programs. I plan to study electrical engineering. Yeah, at first I was leaning towards aerospace engineering, but that school only offers a minor in there. But I still plan to straight into aerospace through electrical engineering.
I know Springdale High School, you play soccer. Are
Yes,
you
sir.
planning on playing more soccer when you get up there?
I might join the club, but I am going to be an engineering major, so I don't know how hard that's going to be yet.
Okay. So I guess geography played a lot of role in what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
And your sister goes to the University of Arkansas, correct?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Your family, you guys have created a culture of going to college and getting that second degree and getting that going to that higher education. That's part of the
Exactly.
process.
Yep.
That's awesome. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn Nolan, come on up. Now, Glenn, where are you going? You're going to the University of Chicago.
Yeah.
What made you want to go to the University of Chicago? What are you going to do when you get up there?
I'm planning on majoring in computer science, especially in cybersecurity, and then minoring in music performance. And I chose U Chicago because over the summer, 2 summers ago, I was able to go visit the campus through the University of Arkansas's talent search program. And me being able to go up there, I went up there, we did a bunch of stuff up there, but on one of the days we were up there, we toured the campus, and I fell in love with the campus. I decided then that's where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to go there so badly, so that when Questbridge came out and I became a finalist, U Chicago was the #1 school I ranked, and I didn't rank any other binding schools other than that school. So I ranked U Chicago and MIT because they're a non-binding school. But other than that, I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I got in, and so that's my plan.
Awesome. Now, you're in the band at Springdale High School, are you not?
Yeah, I've been in band.
What's your instrument?
I play French horn, I've played trumpet and trombone for jazz band. I've been a part of all region and all state and all region jazz. Music has become a very big part of my life, and I'm planning on continuing when I go into college.
How are you going to continue that?
Well, yeah, I'm planning on minoring in music, and I also know that Chicago is very rich in music, and so I'm I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be able to listen to some of the groups around there, like the Chicago Symphony.
Well, I've known Glenn now since the seventh grade, when we found you in SDL-TIP, Duke-TIP, back in those days. Keeping messing with you regarding your academic, trying to get that ACT score up, that PSAT score up. It's been fun getting to know you over the years. And to see this kind of moment here, it's just payoff. And your uncle's here, correct?
Yeah.
And where'd he go? There he is. Very proud. Are you proud or what? Very proud. Talk about that. Very proud. And your girlfriend's here. Proud of you, son. Real proud of you. Frank, come on up here. How you doing, Frank? Yeah. This is Frank from the Don Tyson School of Innovation, and he's one of our National Merit semifinalists that's become a finalist. How about that? That deserves a round of applause. Did you know that Frank is the last kid in our school district that scored a perfect 36 on the ACT? Boom, that's him. Another round of applause. And you're going to Caltech.
Yes, I am.
What made you want to go to Caltech, young man?
So, first of all, Caltech is very close to to some of my relatives. They're in El Monte, while Caltech is in Pasadena, so it's about 30 minutes away, so that's a pretty big convenience for me. I don't have to worry about housing and all that. And also, I saw that they offer a great engineering program, and along with their research, they have what's called the JPL, or the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and I'm actually looking more into that since I want to go into aerospace engineering through their mechanical engineering major, along with the aerospace minor that they offer.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that finish a statement with, well, it's not rocket science, but yours is, isn't it? I mean, that's where you're headed, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to send somebody out in outer space, aren't you?
Yep, that's the goal.
How about you? Are you going to go? If you design it, will you go on it?
There's a little more to it than just designing it.
One more thing. Are you a Gates finalist? Are you a Gates scholarship finalist?
Yes.
You're another one we found in the 7th grade back in the day too, and I've been getting to know you over these years, and you turned into an excellent student. Just a heck of a model for us here at Springdale Public Schools. And I just want to say this to all you kids. I hope you got some of these people's phone numbers in your phone, wherever it is that you're going. These people that have helped you fan your flames. When you came to, like a Mr. Fink, I hope you got his phone number in your, seriously, because there's going to come a moment here when you guys are going to lean on somebody. And you're going to be thinking about, and I can't get a hold of, how about the Springdalians? We love you guys. Y'all are awesome. You guys represent everything that we stand for in education, diversity, being involved in multiple activities, not just academics. And here you are stepping off into the next moment. You're going to be successful beyond your wildest dreams. And we want to hear about it. So reach back out to us if you don't mind. Y'all have anything else for these guys?
I feel really inadequate.
Yeah.
Aren't they cool?
I mean, goodness gracious.
Aren't they cool? This is what Questbridge, you asked about Questbridge, boom, there it is. So there you go, one last time. Yeah, that's
I just want to say one more thing. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we would not be here without our recommenders. They put everything into us, into supporting us, helping us through this incredibly stressful but fulfilling process. So I just want to thank Mr. Fink. He did more than I ever asked him to. His classroom was always open for me, and I bothered him so much, and I still do. But he is the definition of a phenomenal human being and an outstanding teacher, and I can never, ever thank him enough. So there's Mr. Fink.
SHS, Denise Donald, stand up, please.
Round of applause for all teachers.
All of these are the kinds of people that pour into these kids, and that's why they're finishing at this finish line like they are. That's so cool. Thank you.
And then Miss Farrar also, every time I asked something of her, she gave me tenfold of that. So she was brand new this year to Har-BER, which made me a little nervous that a brand new counselor was coming in. But immediately she became one of my best friends and greatest mentors. So I, once again, thank you, Miss Farrar, for everything you did. And then Mr. Stewart also, he's not here today, but I also want to thank him too for everything. I know, but he was another one of my recommenders that I love so dearly. He's phenomenal. I brag on him. Okay, thank you.
Great job. Y'all are going to do amazing things.
Get a picture also.
Great job. He's doing great. I will.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Cleveland. I have some very special recognitions this evening to share with you. The Office of Educational Policy have recognized Walker Elementary and John Tyson Elementary as schools that are beating the odds because students demonstrated high growth on the Atlas exams, even though the school serves high percentage of students that participate in free and reduced lunch. So Walker Elementary was recognized as overall beating the odds for Northwest Arkansas. And John Tyson Elementary was recognized overall in Northwest Arkansas for beating the odds in ELA. Yes, congratulations, ladies. The Office of Educational Policy believes that growth is the best indicator of the positive impact that the school is having on students. These awards are based on the 2024 Content Growth Score calculated by the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education. The growth scores reflect how much students at the school improved from 2023 compared to how much other students with similar prior achievement improved. Their schools were recognized based on overall growth as well as for growth in math and English and language arts separately. Their certificates will be mailed at a later date, so we just wanted to take a moment to recognize these two schools for their outstanding student performance. So congratulations, ladies.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
What would you guys say would be, like, if you were going to tell somebody the number one reason that you feel like you accomplished this, what would you tell somebody? What's the secret sauce?
I will say having all staff bought into the achievement of our students and doing whatever it takes to move them, knowing their data and knowing what steps they need to take to move them forward in whatever content that may be.
I will second that, but also add that we are very focused on student agency, so we're helping our students own their learning and being very connected to what their goals are and what they want to achieve, and our community support is amazing, and then our teachers going above and beyond, our parents really supporting the work we are doing.
Group effort is what I'm hearing. Community, everybody buying in, not just one teacher. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce you to two of my new favorite people that I've just recently met. If I could have Nicole and Peter come and join me, please. At the beginning of this school year, we had some unique challenges that we have shared with you with some of our new kindergarten friends. And Dr. Cleveland and the team were talking about what is it we could do. We're very solutions oriented, but what could we do to help support our community so that we can make sure that we had students ready to come to kindergarten to learn. And we knew that we couldn't do this alone, that we had to have some answers in our community, that there had to be resources in the community that we could tap into. And so we started processing and putting our brains together and reached out to some of our community partners. I contacted Diana McDaniel and said, listen, we need some help. We need to bring in some of maybe Arkansas Children's Northwest, UAMS, anybody who's willing to listen to what we're dealing with to see what solutions may be out there. And so she was eager to help. We brought in a team of about 15 people, and we just sat and put our heads together, shared our concerns, the issues we were facing, and UAMS rose to the occasion. And we learned of this beautiful organization called the Institute for Community Health and Innovation. And they're like, we have some resources we can help. And so I wanted to give Nicole and Peter an opportunity to tell you about two of the programs that we have been able to already implement in two of our schools. We are piloting at Turnbow Elementary and Jones Elementary with the idea that these programs will be growing in the future. So Peter and Nicole, I'm going to turn this over to you and let you talk about our community health worker and the 24/7 program.
Oh, I might need this stool down here to all over this for a second. Thank you all so much for having us. I'm Nicole Bedard. I'm with UAMS, our Institute for Community Health Innovation, and we are so thrilled to be partnering with Springdale School District and piloting this Marshallese Community Health Worker. Our mission at UAMS is to create a better state of health for all. And so when we heard and had that collaborative roundtable and heard about the needs of the community, we recognized that this aligns, that supporting families early in development and supporting them through their journey to create successful school-ready children and families aligns with our mission. So we are excited to be embedding a community health worker starting next month. We'll be working with the schools to be piloting this program where she will be, she's a trusted member of the Marshallese community and working to create easier, earlier access to early developmental screens and helping families navigate to providers, helping them get set up with insurance so that we know that if children and families are set up on insurance and connected to those early screens, that they're set up on that path for developmental health. And so some of the activities that we see going into this are going out in the community and conducting developmental screens that are culturally appropriate, also providing education to families on parenting, developmental screens, developmental health, and then also providing navigation to families. So I'll turn it over to Peter too to share a little bit about the 24/7 program that we are also currently doing with Turnbow and Jones. So.
Thanks, Nicole. Can you hear me all right? Okay. Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. My name is Peter Cooper with UAMS, and the 24/7 parent program really is parenting education and case management. Case management is supporting families, meeting them where they are, doing needs assessments, figuring out where can we help you. Do you need employment? Do you need clinical navigation and connectivity? Do you need to get connected to higher education? Do you want to go be enrolled at Northwest Arkansas Technical Institute and procure a CDL license or HVAC license? So that's the case management that comes with 24/7 parenting. The parenting part is the education. We have 12 lessons that we teach. It takes about 6 to 12 weeks, just depending on how quick we go. Those lessons consist of what's your family history, where are you in health, physical health, mental health, how can we get you connected to getting your blood pressure checked, cholesterol checked, et cetera. Maybe you're not living with the parent of your child, and so how do we help you co-parent? How do we ensure that you and the parent work together to ensure the best outcome for your family? One of the other classes is parent engagement. How do we get parents more involved in what's going on with the kids' lives, especially in the schools? Our moms and dads attending the PTA schools, our mom and dads attending the school meetings with the teachers to understand where their child lies academically. So we teach these classes throughout the community. We've been doing this 4 years now. We've partnered with several nonprofits in the community. This morning we graduated our first small class at Turnbow Elementary. It was a big success. We had a Marshallese couple that graduated. They met twice a week for 6 to 7 weeks. They've learned a lot of information. We've got surveys to sort of measure that data. We do a pre-survey and a post-survey. We want to show growth. And so, yeah, that's it. Essentially, parenting classes and case management to ensure those families are connected with resources to help advance the well-being of their families. Yeah, happy to take any questions if you guys have. Have any questions?
What will the logistics look like? So it's one, health worker between two schools, is that right?
We have one community health worker for 2 schools. We're piloting it. Ask me how much this is costing our district. $0. They are funding this for us. Yes. So we were really excited about that, and they are willing to grow the program. But I told them we wanted to be good stewards of their resources, and so we wanted to get this right before we expanded the program to other schools in our district. So Turnbow and Jones were very high-need schools that had a lot of these issues, and so that's where we're starting. And we have 2 principals that are absolutely on fire for this program, and they would have been here, but both of them are ill and could not join us this evening. So they were very sad that they couldn't be here to just share with you their excitement to be bringing these programs to their schools.
So do you feel like, without really going into much details, we were kind of in a spot early on this year with some education and some child development stuff. Do you feel like going into next year, this is going to have us a little more prepared? And
we're hopeful.
Obviously.
Yes, we're hopeful that this will allow us to be a lot more proactive. We have been meeting pretty regularly since we found out that we're onboarding this community health worker, talking about ways that we can get her into their community to do more of a child find so that we can do these developmental screenings in homes, in churches, in community places, and help get these families connected to the resources that they need, help them get enrolled into our pre-K programs, and if not enrolled in pre-K programs, help them get connected to the developmental services that they need to get them ready for kindergarten.
It's pretty encouraging to know that you found some solutions, because when we were in Washington, there wasn't any solutions. It was back to our local people.
Yes. They are a gift that keeps on giving, and like I said, they are definitely a friend to Springdale, and so we are very excited. They've been great to work with. I think we're the first school district that they're bringing these programs into. So I think we're the first school district that's brought the 24/7 program into a school setting, and I know definitely we're the first district that has brought the community health worker into the district. These programs have existed outside of the school setting, but we're bringing it in and we're integrating it in. We brought along Megan Rojo, who's our pre-K director. She's going to be working closely with these 2 schools, as well as Andy Ingram. Our special education director will be closely connected with all of this, and so that all of these transitions will be seamless as we move forward.
What's the age range of kids that will be?
Our target would be 3 to 5, but as Gloria is our community health worker's name, as she's finding moms and children even younger than 3 to 5, then she can also be working to help identify services and resources for them as well.
How was the first initial reactions to the 24/7 group? You said that some have just graduated the program. What kind of reactions did you get from the families?
From the graduates?
Did you feel like they bought into what?
Yeah, we've been doing this 4 years. So we started in 2020. I mean, when you're starting a social program that's meant to be socialization is difficult. So it took a little while to build word of mouth, but if you know our Marshall East brothers and sisters, it takes a while. Word of mouth is the best way to spread information. That and Facebook, quite honestly. And so when folks started buying in, word of mouth got spread real quickly. I mean, over the last 4 years, we've enrolled over 1,000 adults and graduated almost that many. So it is, and yeah, we hope to continue this as much as we can. So when you find a parent who's struggling with, maybe they have a child who's struggling with behavior especially, they can talk through these problems and work this out. It just becomes a real solution-based system. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So it's got to take some, it's going to take some pressure off some of the teachers, right? Especially in that pre-K, kindergarten, because that's where we were just.
Yeah, when at the beginning of this year, when we were looking at the data that showed how many of our pre-K students at these schools mirrored their population, it did not correlate well. And so Ms. Ferguson is actually working with Trent's team and some of her families, I think that were connected to this program, to actually create a commercial. The Marshallese families are creating the commercial to push out to that community, advertising, hey, come enroll your kid in pre-K. And so there's definitely a push to, within that community, to get our families to trust our pre-K program to get them there. And I think the addition of Gloria, who is a very trusted member of the community, she's worked for UAMS, she's worked in a different role, but will be transitioning to this community health worker role. And I think her being boots on the ground into the communities of these two schools will really help with that as well. So we're excited. And she'll be working year round. And so we're already talking about when Jones and Turnbow's doors are closed, the community clinic at Jones does not close. And so how can we utilize her services with the provider, as the provider is still seeing families of Jones, working with those kids that she's finding during the summer. And then how can we utilize her services even working with Megan Rojo during the summer as their doors are still open enrolling families. And so I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. Any other questions for us? Once we do get Gloria started in our district, I do plan to bring her back to a board meeting and let you meet her. So you'll get to see a face with the name. Okay? Thank you, board. And thank you, Peter and Nicole, for being here this evening.
Very much.
You invite your team up too. I think it's good you brought them.
Okay, so Springdale School Board, Dr. Cleveland Administration. I brought 3 ladies with me tonight that did a tremendous job. Now that I can't see anything at all. During the state basketball tournament last week, to our incredible administrative assistants, and I'm going to have them stand and then I'm going to applaud Jana Kate, Christy Whaley, and Mary Welch. Their meticulous planning and organization were instrumental in ensuring the smooth operation of this event. We deeply appreciate your commitment and your efforts. I think they got tired of me walking it over and over each week, but they didn't say anything during that. Special thank you to the athletic directors Chris Wood and Eric Burnett for their leadership and coordination during this, as well to Jason Jones and to the entire Springdale High School administrative team for their continued support throughout the tournament. We extend our sincere appreciation to SRO Brian Treat and the team for providing coverage and ensuring the safety of all attendees. To Damon Donnell, Larry Little, and the CSSO security team at the metal detectors, your diligence in maintaining a safe and secure environment did not go unnoticed. We had people actually thank us as they came in. John Scott, SRO at Springdale High, and the Springdale Law Academy, that if you are at the tournament, you noticed they took care of all our parking. Your efforts in the managing parking lot services were invaluable in maintaining order and accessibility for all our guests. Bulldog Arena is the most technological gym in Arkansas high school athletics. I'll put it up against anybody because we can do just about anything we need to. An unbelievable job was done by Donald Tucker, Alexei Vargas, and their team provided exceptional support, ensuring seamless operations for all digital, live stream, and technical needs. And if you didn't know, we did every game through our live stream, not somebody else's. We did it. We are also incredibly grateful to the Army National Guard for assisting with bus parking and being available for anything that was needed. Your willingness to step up and provide support was truly commendable. If you didn't notice, logistically, we would have them pull up to the front steps. The National Guard, we had gotten a Suburban from Crane Automotive. They would take them over to the Lock Building, which is being redone, and we parked all the buses out of the parking lot where it would fit more people into it. After they got done with the game, they'd go back and they'd take them back over and bring them back. Heartfelt thank you to Kendra Kinney and her volleyball team, hosting team for making visiting teams feel welcome. They met them at the gate. And to the Springdale High ambassadors for their outstanding efforts in hosting the cheer and dance squads that came in with the other teams. Your hospitality made a lasting impression. To our dedicated maintenance team and custodian team, led by Jeremy Wyatt, Rick Daniel, Wayne Buttram, Megan Kelly, who helped us in the parking lot, James Wilson with just about anything I could come up with that needed done, Joe Tressler, did all kinds of things in preparation for this. Him and his team, hardworking and getting the Keep Bulldog Arena set up, cleaned and well maintained was essential in ensuring a pleasant experience for everyone. I also want to thank our junior high and middle school teams and coaches who ran the concession stands throughout the tournament. You did an outstanding job. Your services were greatly appreciated by all. That included Lakeside Junior High, George Junior High, J.O. Kelly Middle School, and Sonora Middle School all had teams that worked the concession stands throughout the tournament and did a tremendous job. A huge thank you to Bailey Jones, who organized the table workers and PA announcers, as well as to Tom Skipper, Mike McFarland, Dave Robinson for their unwavering support in managing team hospitality and locker rooms. Bailey actually kept the clock in between games where you keep on a pattern, which is, it's a very hard job to do because there's a certain time that the AAA allows, but she kept us on time every night except for the one overtime game we had. To All-American Steakhouse, your generosity in providing the hospitality room made a significant impact in making our guests feel valued and cared for. And if you were up there, you were cared for. There was no doubt. We also extend our gratitude to Geo Surfaces, Midwest Sporting Goods, Lindy Lindsay with Lindsay Realty, Trent Jones and the communication team for their contributions in support throughout the tournament. Jeremy Hayter and Coca-Cola, your generosity in providing products and assistance did not go unnoticed. He took care of the actual hospitality room throughout the tournament from Coca-Cola. Finally, to thank the Springdale Chamber of Commerce for the advertisement promotion grant that we received from the city and the volunteers who dedicated their time throughout the week. I think we had at least 8 or 10 at a time, all during different stations, all during the week. We worked really well. Hotels that they talked to for team rates, things like that. It worked out really well. Finally, this tournament was a tremendous success because of each and every one of the individuals and groups that I have listed. We are incredibly fortunate to have such a supportive community. Thank you for being an integral part of this event and for your continued commitment to excellence. We have had 3 state championship tournaments, boys golf this year, volleyball, and basketball. And I don't think anybody will ever say that they were halfway, just got through, anything like that. These things are over the top, and that's the way we want to be. Your dedication, hard work, and teamwork truly exemplify the spirit of excellence that defines our Springdale community. On behalf of the Springdale Athletic Department, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude. With deepest appreciation, Springdale Athletic Department, I want to say thank you to all these people involved. Any questions? Well, about 7,000 tickets. That does not include teams, coaches, and then, we kind of guessed 10,000. We probably hit that point pretty good, right around that point with the Chamber of Commerce and all that. So, having 10,000 people come in and watch basketball, very minor problems. I asked about 10 coaches the first day. I said, hey, who won the first game? They said, I don't know, Coach, but the hospitality room is really good. And I said, okay. So we took that as a compliment and ran. But each individual that came in and played received a coin, just like you guys said. Each team, coaching staff-wise, got 4 Under Armour backpacks and 4 Yeti cups with the 2025 6A tournament on there. They got a basket basket of food. That was just coming in for each team. So I think each one hospitality-wise, and that could not be pulled off without these three ladies, my two assistants, because the hardest part about the tournament is that we still have other things that are going on, soccer on the other side of town, baseball, all that why it's going on over here. So everybody did a really good job of covering those events and taking care of those things. So, but again, we want to make sure we're always first class. Springdale boys will play at 1:45 at Hot Springs. Again, it's been a great year in basketball. Our, girls and boys, both teams were either the conference champion or the conference runner-up. So it's been a good year. So we wanted to make sure we did it right.
You did a great job too, Coach Phil.
Like I said, it's all about a team. There's no doubt. And having this community here and having people just to ask and fill in for it, it was tremendous just to see everybody working. So worked out well.
Said like a true leader.
Thank you.
We all need a vacation.
I was going to say Mary made a 36 on her AC2 at one time. I had to add mine together twice to get
Thank you all for being here.
So I really feel inadequate to follow all of the presentations today. Our students and our staff are amazing. So I'll present my part, and y'all will think they're even more amazing. So I just have a few things on your agenda today. If you'll remember, probably about a year or so ago, we started presenting policies a little bit differently, where we present them at a meeting for initial review, give you some time to review, also get feedback from staff or anyone else who has feedback, and then bring them back for the next meeting. So today is just that presentation for initial review. The actual policies are linked in your agenda, but I'll just go over a few of the highlights. Policy 3.1 would add out-of-state university experience to years of teaching experience for placement on the salary schedule. That's a pretty unique circumstance that was brought forth by a particular employee. We think it will affect just a handful of employees. And so that is a recommended change. 3.6 is updates to the PD policy to make our new calendar work. Remember that we're shifting to having a half day where then teachers can use the other half day for parent-teacher conferences, which is also some feedback that we've been getting over the past few years. So just some tweaks to that policy to make that work. 3.8 and 8.5, that's the certified policy and the classified policy over the same thing. It's sick leave and personal leave. The way the policy was written, it was confusing to employees that the personal leave is not additional days. You take part of your sick allotment and can use them as personal. So there's no change to the actual policy, just some clarifying language and a little table in there to make it more clear going forward. And so that's on both the certified and classified side. 3.10.1, from best I can tell, is an old policy back when all of our schools operated on the same schedule, and it said that principal hours were 7:30 to 4:30. Well, when we have elementaries who are opening the door, 7:15, 7:25, and then secondary schools who may be there till well after 4:30, it just didn't line up with what was actually happening. In reality, I think our principals are in the building much longer, but this policy kind of restricted some people who felt like even though they were there at 6:45 in the morning, didn't feel like they could leave at 4 o'clock to go take care of something if they needed to. So it clarifies that principal hours are a minimum of 8 contracted hours, and that they need to be there when kids arrive and when kids leave, but what fits with their level of education, elementary, secondary, and then also what works for their building. 4.30 clarifies a student suspension can be 10 days ISS and 10 days OSS. The wording of that was a little bit off, and so just some clarification so that it's clear on how long a suspension can run. And then
Was that the there was something in there about something a line being removed about out of school, about it being out of school suspension. Do you remember that part off the top of your head?
In that policy, if there was I'd have to go back and look. If there was a line removed, it was just cleaning it up so that it was clear that you can do 10 OSS and 10 ISS. Anything in excess of the 10 OSS is considered an expulsion, and they get their appeal opportunity as part of their due process. But a 10 and 10, with being 10 in school and 10 out of school, is a tool that's used across the district. So we want to make sure the policy reads correctly and not causing confusion. And then finally on policies, Section 6 of the ASBA model policies, we've slowly been transitioning over to those. The next numerically was 6, even though we did 8 a couple years ago. But the next one that we needed to adopt was 6. You'll see those in there. No changes to what I would call practice, but just moving our policies to line up as closely as possible with the ASBA policies. You'll see in there several of those Section 6 policies are listed as reserved. If you'll remember how we've started doing that when we moved to the ASBA policies, if it's a policy that doesn't really apply to us, but we want to kind of leave it as a placeholder because it's a number that's in the numerical system for ASBA, it's just listed as reserved. So there's not a policy, but it's a placeholder in case we want to come back and implement it at some point. And that way our numbers don't get off with their numbers, and they're real easy to match up. So like I said, this is just a presentation for initial review for you. I don't need any action. I'll be happy to answer any questions today or over the next month, and we'll bring them back to you, hopefully mostly unchanged in April. They have already been presented to the certified PPC, and the one that affects classified PPC, will present that to them this week. But those changes are actually a result of conversations that were had with that group. So I think it will be something that they're thrilled to see. Do you have any questions?
You've been working on this for 3-4 years now.
Oh my goodness.
Are you getting close
Yes.
to being done with all of them? Or?
Yeah, and it's one of those things we could push through and get them all done at the same time. The problem is that some of the sections are more substantial than others, and so like when we did the student policies and the personnel policies, may have 30 to 50 policies. And so the idea and the feedback that we got from you all is that was a lot for one time, so let's just slowly implement it. Policies are something that are never updated. I literally, on my to-do list, I think from the day I started working here, always have policies written on it, because the minute you get them updated, implemented, something changes. And just so we're real clear about these policies, if you all approve them in April, they would go into effect July 1. And as soon as the legislative session is done, we're going to be looking at all the changes that have to come about as a result of the legislative session. So job security, maybe, I'm not real sure. But yeah, it's a constant process of trying to make sure that they're up to date and make sense for implementation. Okay, the next item for you all is just a legislative update. These are just a few bills, obviously. And I tried to pick out the ones that affected school boards, and then maybe ones that, one in particular that we talked about last month. So the first one is House Bill 1724. It specifically talks about school board terms, election date. It would change the term for all school board members to 4-year terms. Would have the school board election. The only option would be the preferential primary date, which is the option you all use anyway. Take out the November election option. And then because the terms of board members would shift, it kind of has this phase in or phase out. I'm not really sure how you would word it, but for members of a school district board of directors that are currently holding terms, this is when they would expire according to this bill.
So it'd take away one of our years.
Yes, which is an interesting legal concept that we can talk about at some point, but that is out there. It's a relatively newly filed bill, and so I don't have a lot of information on, kind of what we're hearing on it, but it does obviously directly affect you, so I wanted you all to be aware that it was out there.
I'm just thinking in my head if it did pass, if there were opportunities for lawsuits.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. So Senate Bill 89, I don't know where my 89 went, but it's now Act 120, so I guess whatever bill number it is doesn't matter. We talked about this last month, requires that agendas and minutes be posted on our website within prescribed periods of time. The minutes, 24 hours after approval, agenda at least 24 hours before. We all do that anyway. The special meetings, the agenda would need to be posted 2 hours before, which we follow that anyway. It also requires that names, email addresses, in terms of board members be posted on the website. That information is already there. We'll have to get some clarification. I believe we have, I don't know if we have your direct email addresses on there or if we have a ThrillShare link. There are lots of reasons that Paul Miller can explain about why we use ThrillShare links and not just put the email addresses out there. And so we'll have to clarify whether that's sufficient, but we'll handle that. Senate Bill 90 is the bill that mostly dealt with public comment at board meetings. We talked about that last month. It's now moved to the deferred list. The deferred list means it's not being considered right now, but it takes approximately 1 second to move something from the deferred list to the agenda. And so until a bill is withdrawn from further consideration, then it's still a possibility to be pursued. And then finally, Senate Bill 142, which is now Act 122, is the bell-to-bell, no-cell. We talked about that last month, that would prohibit possession, and we will hopefully get some clarification on what possession is, of a cell phone from the time that instruction begins in the school day till the end of the school day. Like I said, there are numerous other bills out there, and once the legislative session is over, we'll do a more comprehensive review of everything that passed, and so we're all familiar with steps that are going to be taken moving forward and changes that will have to be made. But these are really the school board specific bills and acts that are out there right now. Does anyone have any questions?
How many more weeks do we have to worry about this?
Dr. Cleveland, are you hearing how many more weeks they plan on going?
They're going to extend.
Yeah.
Through April.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, and the final item is just a reminder that the school election is coming up, scheduled for May 13th, 2025. Mr. Bell is running unopposed, and Mr. Ramos did draw an opponent. So again, we've got another school board meeting between now and then. I'll remind you again, but just letting you know, a reminder of the election date and then candidates that will be considered. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, School Board, Dr. Cleveland. I would like the first item on my section is to introduce Ms. Sarah Gentry. She's the principal at HCJ CPAs and Advisors PLLC. They are our auditor, and she is going to present our audit report for June 20th, 2024.
Good evening. I have to agree with Kendra. I think I'm not sure I can ever make an audit report quite as exciting as the student accolades that were presented before us. So, but I do get to present a great audit report tonight, so that's at least exciting news. So I'm not sure quite as exciting, but it is exciting. So first off, we appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and to perform the audit of Springdale School District. So we'd like to say thank you for that. We'd also like to say thank you to Stacy and her accounting team. They put up with a lot from us. We have a ton of document requests, a ton of questions that happen throughout this process. It's not easy. You guys are subject to a regular financial statement audit and also what's called a single audit under the uniform guidance, which is compliance-based. And there's a lot of document requests that come with that. So we really appreciate all of your help throughout the process. And Dr. Cleveland, thank you for steering the ship and putting the right people in the right seats, because that makes our job easier. So we appreciate it. So we'll walk through the audit in kind of a high level. You'll see that our responsibility on these financial statements is to express an opinion on the numbers and that they're materially correct. And so you'll see in our audit opinion, we issued an unmodified or clean opinion on those financial statements under the regulatory basis of accounting, which is the basis of accounting prescribed by the state of Arkansas. So a clean opinion in that regard. If you look at the financial statements, the very first financial statement on page 4 is the balance sheet under the regulatory basis. You'll see that it's in column format, and we'll kind of walk through what each one of those funds do for the district. The first column you'll see is the general fund. That consists of your operating funds in the district and your state restricted state funds. That balance, the fund balance at year end, was about $32.6 million. Approximately $7.6 million of that was restricted for future state programs, and then the remaining $25 million is unassigned. The special revenue fund, that consists of your federal programs and your food service programs. And the entire $21 million fund balance that rolled into the next year is restricted for federal program use. The other governmental funds, that consists of your capital projects and your debt service, and the entire $43 million is assigned for future capital projects. And then the last column there is the fiduciary funds, and those are your things like your band boosters, your school clubs. Those are the things you hold, the school district holds in merely an agency capacity. The next statement on page 5 is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So this kind of walks through the changes that occurred during the year. You'll see it's also in column format. So the general fund experienced at the bottom, you'll see a net increase in fund balance of about $1.7 million. Total revenues were $240 million, which is an increase from prior year of about $11.4 million. Most of that had to do with an increase in your property tax revenues, which was $6.7 million up, and then also $4.1 million in state revenues related to the LEARNS Act that raised teacher salary. So that was the majority of your increase in your revenues in the current year. You'll also see total expenditures were about $217 million in the general fund. That's approximately $12 million increase from prior year. That almost is all attributable to salaries. Again, with relation to the LEARNS Act, you had to bring up those certified employee salaries, and then likewise the district also raised the classified employee wages as well in the current year. And then the district also had a few larger supplies and software costs or purchases in the current year that brought up those revenues in the current year in the general fund. And then you'll also see the general fund transferred about $22 million over to your capital projects and debt service funds in the current year. The second column there, the special revenue fund, experienced a net increase in fund balance of about $170,000. So about a break even in those funds, which is normal for those funds. Those funds are kind of now designed to be a cost reimbursement. So those are going to break even pretty closely most of the time. The other governmental funds, the last column there, that had a net decrease in fund balance of $48.5 million. The revenues were $14.3 million this year, which was a $2.2 million less than the prior year. The district didn't get approved for some of the state facilities partnership monies that sometimes get divvied out for renovations and so forth. And then total expenditures were $106 million in the capital projects fund. That was an increase in the prior year from $17 million. A large majority of that had to do with some of the construction finish out and also some hail damage repairs and so forth that happened throughout the current year. The district received $20 million in insurance proceeds from the finish out of the tornado insurance proceeds and also that hail damage that we just mentioned. So you'll see that as a line item as well on your financial statements. And then as mentioned previously, the district and that other governmental funds received those $22 million that was transferred over from the general funds into that capital projects fund. The next statement is a statement of revenues and expenditures for budget to actual. The state of Arkansas requires this on the general fund and the special revenues fund. So we'll walk through that high level on some of the main changes there. The general fund property tax revenues were higher than expected by about $2.4 million. The district has a tendency to base that kind of on a flat, it's going to be flat from year over year. But actually, Northwest Arkansas, as it has been over the last several years, has grown significantly. So those property tax revenues were higher than expected. The state revenues were also higher than expected by about $1.2 million. The district received several miscellaneous grants in the current year that wouldn't have been known at the time of budgeting. Expenses had a net unfavorable variance about $2.9 million. A significant portion of that had to do with the merit teacher incentives that were fully funded by DESI, but at the time of budgeting wouldn't have been known. And then capital outlays were higher than anticipated by about $1.1 million, and that was due to the district making a conscious decision to go ahead and make some needed upgrades in technology in the current year. And then likewise, the district transferred $22 million in capital projects, which was $9 million more than expected that they could transfer over. So any excess funds get transferred over into those capital projects funds. And then these various fluctuations led to the net unfavorable budget to actual variance of $7 million in the general fund, but really most of that is, as we spoke, attributable to those transfers just over into your capital projects. So more of a shifting of funds. The special revenues funds, federal revenues, were lower than budgeted by about $16.9 million. This variance relates to a change in budget specific to a grant, the 21st Century Grant, so that was specific to one grant, and a change in budgeting. And then special revenue fund expenses had a net favorable variance of $6 million. These budget expenses still include some ESSER carryover, and the state requires that you budget all of it, and then even if it's going to roll over and be used in the next year. The remaining pages there, you'll see that start on page 7. Those are the notes to the financial statement. They give a lot of great information and more detail on the numbers themselves, but they stayed consistent from one year to the next. So we won't go through each one. I do like to point out one in particular on page 11, note 4. Those are the commitments, the future commitments of the district. The regulatory basis of accounting, if you'll notice, you don't see debt on your financial statements. It basically functions off of a current sources and uses model of accounting. And so when you have bond proceeds, it runs through as revenue, and when you have payments, it runs through as expenses, and those don't show up on your balance sheet. This footnote details all of the future commitments of the district, so you can clearly see the 2 bonds that are still outstanding in the district and those remaining balances at 6/30. And then future commitments under construction contracts and so forth. So that kind of gives you in more detail the commitments of the district at June 30th. There's a ton of reports in the back that have to do with the compliance requirements that we're required to test that I spoke of earlier. If you'll notice on page 23, that's your schedule of expenditures of federal awards. You'll see that the district spent just over $50 million in federal funds in the current year, which is a significant amount of federal funds. And as an audit requirement, we're required to test certain compliance requirements based on the major programs that are selected each year. We're happy to report that we didn't have any findings in those programs selected for testing as major in the current year. The 2 programs that were selected for testing were Title I and Special Education Cluster. Those move around each year. There's a detailed process that we have to go through to determine which funds are major and which funds aren't and which get tested each year, and they rotate. So those are the 2 funds that got tested this year, and we didn't have any findings related to our selections, our selected samples. And then likewise, the state of Arkansas requires us to test in an examination other certain state statutes, and that's on page 28. That's our report opinion on those examination procedures over the state statutes that we're required to test. And we're also pleased to report we didn't have any findings related to those state statute compliance requirements that we're required to test as well. So in a nutshell, that's the audit. If you guys have any questions, I can answer those. We are also happy to report, under auditing standards, we would be required to report if we came into any disagreements with management over accounting principles or auditing procedures, or if we experienced delays or felt like we were not getting the information forthcoming to us. We would be required to tell you guys as those charged with governance under auditing standards, and we're happy to report we don't have anything to report under that as well. So, do you guys have any questions? You're welcome. Yeah, we do too. Makes my job a little easier.
Ms. Hopkins was happy to report that this was solely her and not Mr. Hayes.
That's true. That's true.
Previously, it was Mr. Hayes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we will need to approve that audit. Is that our next step?
Yes,
I
please.
make a motion to approve the audit report for year ending June 30th, 2024, as presented.
I have a motion by Mrs. Cook and a second by Mrs. Creek to approve the audit report as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Board. They are really a great group to work with. They kind of descend upon us for about a week, and we have 3 to 5 people here at one time, all asking for different things, but they're very good to work with. I've worked with some in the past that weren't so good, so I really appreciate them. The next item for that I would like to seek approval for is the February 2025 financials. Those were included in your packet. Just a few things to point out. Our collections are just a little bit ahead of where they were this same time last year, which has been pretty consistent this school year. We did receive $164,334.17 from Arkansas School Recognition Funds. That is included in our other state grants and aid. Expenditures are running just slightly, not even a full % ahead of where they were this same time last year. So I'm pretty comfortable with that as we go forward, and we're kind of getting close to this last quarter of the year. Also wanted to note that we received the final reimbursement on the fraudulent activity that occurred in Michigan that we talked about in the fall. It's taken a little bit of time to work that out and get all of that reimbursed, but we have been 100% reimbursed for that activity. Dr. Cleveland and I met briefly with Miss Sarah prior to the meeting, and she indicated to us that what we're seeing on our level as far as the wash checks and some of this fraudulent activity is been very common, not only statewide but nationwide, and they've seen that quite a bit, not only with their clients at their clients' businesses, but also with their clients even sending checks to them. Some of those have been, fished out of the mail and washed, and they've had some issues with that as well. So it seems to be a universal problem at this point.
Questions?
She didn't like the steps that we've taken, possible pay and other things that you can help us with.
Motion to approve the February 2025 financials as presented.
Second. A motion by Mrs. Creek and a second by Mr. Hutchinson to approve the February 2025 financials. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. The last item I have is to seek board approval for the resolution to make the purchase of 412 North Kansas Street.
412 North Kansas Street is the house that's last on the block over where we plan to build the indoor. It's in between where Coach Burnett actually owns the ditches there and the other home that we actually own. It's the last home left. And Miss Sarah's been working with the lady who's lived there for 50 plus years. For a long time, and we've worked out a lease for her to release the home from us. Really for the remainder of her life or until she vacates it. She's 90. 97. Wow. She started at 200 even.
How much was it?
200 even. So,
So that gives us everything to the ditch.
everything to the ditch, yes. So, and it's technically not, Dusty said we don't necessarily have to have it for our plan, but it's important to have it for their overall scheme, the safety scheme. And it just cleans everything up.
So it doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up anything construction, correct? And she's a super awesome lady. A great neighbor.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the home at 412 North Kansas Street.
A motion by Mr. Hutchinson and a second by Mrs. Cook to approve the purchase at 412 North Kansas Street. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
We'll pass that resolution on and set it taken care of. Release that back to the owner.
Where are we at on all of
All of you? We have got it just about ready to launch. I'm working right now on a board, I don't know that I want to call it a packet, like a board procedures guideline, so that once you log in, you've got a step-by-step how to navigate through the program. And then I also wanted to add some additional information that kind of explains how our budget strings work, because I think that will be helpful as you're looking through and looking at particular funds and the detail as to, is this instructional or is this maintenance? So I worked on that. I've just about got it drafted. I'm going to send it to our representative at Allaview and kind of let him give me a few pointers and adjustments that he might seem necessary. Unfortunately, they don't have I would have thought that they would have had that available as just a handout that we could give to not only our staff, but also you as the board, and they don't. So we're kind of having to create that, and then I'm sure they'll use it going forward for other people, so. Okay.
Hello, Board. Dr. Cleveland. So, at Central Junior High, we're pretty much just finishing up doing the final punch list. So this is the new library that was the cafeteria. And then in the back behind the storefront windows is a multi-use room that'll be back there for them to use. This will be the circulation counter back on the south end of the library. This is the east corridor that will connect where the gym is to this new wing and to the main office. And then just the restrooms. That's all I had at Central. We did order furniture for phase 3, so we're planning on moving into that the week after spring break, and that project will be completed. We're working over at the Professional Development Center, the old after-school program building over there. They're on schedule there. So we've got electricians and plumbers in there right now doing a lot of that work. They've done a lot of the above ceiling work. HVAC is going on over there now, so it's moving pretty good over there. And then the lock building, we've got all the demo done. They've got set up there now. They're doing a lot of blocking in that building and getting ready to insulate the walls and the ceiling to bring it up to meet the standards of the state. And then the last thing is the baseball, softball fields at HAR-BER and at Springdale are pretty much complete. We've got a small punch list of items to complete there, but they're playing games on those fields and everything there, so.
Would y'all like to schedule a facility bus tour like we did a few years ago at some point on Thursday? Might take about 2 hours. I know you're really busy this time of year.
It's always fun.
From 11 to 2 or something. Eat the bus or something. I don't know. You're not supposed to eat the bus. Maybe we'll clean it up.
Okay.
Something like that. Maybe the next few Thursdays. Sure. After spring break, maybe. Okay. Jeff,
Okay.
is it with you?
Yep, we can set that up. All right, you guys have any questions on any of the projects?
I didn't say I didn't like to drive. That's the long time.
We can have Conkin be there. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Well, that you're racing to the microphone.
We missed you last week.
I'm gonna grab my water while she's. Hi, good evening, Dr. Cleveland and board. We weren't sure if Valerie was going to make it tonight because she had conferences. So I'm Callie Day. I'll be presenting for us tonight. This past weekend, Valerie and I were able to participate with our AEA Committees Day, where we collaborated with other members across the state to accomplish various tasks for the organization. Our members re-elected President Reisma to serve another term, and we are very excited to continue the many endeavors that she has spearheaded for students and educators in Arkansas. Demetria Watts in Springdale has joined our team as our ESP board member and will be representing our classified staff across the district. She's already been hard at work advocating for members, bringing an oversight to our attention to help bus drivers make up the hours that were missed due to the snow days. Valerie and I are very excited to be going to Portland this summer for the NEA Representative Assembly. We have grown our membership enough to also have 2 additional delegate spots where Springdale educators will join us. We have an upcoming vote on just who those 2 positions will be, and we will know shortly, definitely know by the next meeting, so we'll give you those names then. I'm sure that it is not news to you to say that this last month has been a whirlwind in general, but particularly from a legislative perspective. Ms. Clay spoke to some of those things. We've seen executive orders, cabinet appointment hearings, and other cases at the national level, as well as the State of the Union address. I'm a little over halfway through listening to the hearing from yesterday on the access bill. It was quite lengthy if you missed it. But while there are definitely some components of it that are concerning for our students and community, I'm going to assume that you're probably already aware of these. I won't attempt to list out all the impacts that these decisions would have on us here in Springdale, but the place I would like to speak about is the intersection of the federal components with our Arkansas legislation. The biggest areas of concern are those of voice and discrimination. While the certainty of the Federal Department of Education is a bit unsure at the moment, we know that just today, 50% was reduced in force, and that if it is fully eliminated, the burden of those extra funds and the authority of decisions fall to the states. I love the state. My family tries to get me to move back home every time I visit, and I tell them that I cannot imagine leaving Arkansas. However, the brief timeline, just from the last few years, as far as the legislature goes, has taken away a lot of the voices of citizens and in particular educators. In 2021, collective bargaining was taken away. In 2023, we lost teacher fair dismissal through the LEARNS Act and payroll deduction for member dues via TPPA. This may not seem like a big deal if it's only seen as a payment method, but the reality is that it was a targeted effort to reduce educator associations by automatically unenrolling all of our members and requiring them to re-enroll. We consistently have members across the state who somehow missed that memo and don't know that they aren't active members. We in Springdale are very fortunate that we don't really have to worry about losing our jobs because of an administrative vendetta. We've got great people here, but not everyone in our state has that privilege. Their membership is often the only line of defense that they have left in a lot of places. And if they didn't know that they needed to re-enroll, they wind up in a crisis. Already in 2025, numerous bills have been aimed at preventing the democratic process of citizens having the ability to pursue ballot initiatives to allow Arkansans to speak for themselves when they feel that their legislators aren't hearing their voices. All of these affect educators in Arkansas and their ability to speak up when harm is being done to our students and also to ourselves. This violates First Amendment rights that we should be able to speak on outside of our contract hours and promotes spirals of silence when we see harm being done to our students. We are mandated reporters within the walls, going so far as to know how to respond to armed assailants, yet we can't speak to our legislators about it outside of a phone call or an email that just becomes a tally mark. Students come first, always. That's both during contract hours and outside. It also doesn't mean that educators are limitless, and we should have the same rights as everyone else to speak up for ourselves and for the children that we so dearly love and invest our lives in every single day. Yesterday, it went beyond the educators, and Section 23 of the Access Bill is aimed at eliminating the voices of students in the policies that directly affect them and their education. They aren't old enough to vote yet, so this is kind of the only place for them to be heard, but without exemption for taking an active role in civic engagement, something I was not even remotely aware that I could do at their age. They can't make up the work that they miss, which could harm their long-term academic endeavors. These hearings happen during the day and in Little Rock, so the vast majority of students and educators are not eligible to sit at this table. Students and educators are some pretty major stakeholders and not able to speak about their daily lived experiences in these decisions that will affect their daily lived experiences. The takeaway here is that if this happens, based on the legislative track record we've seen in recent years, Arkansas students and citizens will be further harmed and further silenced. With regard to discrimination, many of these legislative issues and executive orders are now threatening our student right to a free and equitable public education. Executive Order 13166 revoked the necessity to provide documents or services in languages other than English. Knowing our ELL population here in Springdale, this should absolutely give us pause. This means that either our community will eventually have limited and less access to information, resources, and education, and or that we will be left to foot the bill for those things without federal assistance. In Springdale, for I don't even know how many years, we say all means all. Maybe I'm spoiled with that mentality, but I have a hard time understanding how policies from the federal and state levels, when you boil it down, combined with the double standards of vouchers, which I know you are all too aware, seem to say that only some students are actually worthy of a quality and equitable education. By pulling funding from students who simply need support in their language acquisition, the fallout of these measures, especially in Springdale, if we hesitate to act, would be detrimental. I would like to fervently request of you, as people that I respect, as people who have a proven track record of valuing all of our students, and who have positions of respect and authority in our community and our state, to publicly stand against these policies and to prioritize efforts to communicate these effects on our students in our community, to our community and our state, because not everyone knows. I talk to people in Rogers and Bentonville who are not far away at all, who have no idea what we work with every single day. Let me be very clear, this is not a partisan stance whatsoever. I do not care about the letter by someone's name. I care about education policy because it's our kids. Tragically, from the national to the state level, education as a whole has become a sacrificial lamb on the altar of partisan agendas in the culture wars of the elite. But down here, we're still looking these little pawns in their sparkly little eyes. They're not a problem, they're potential. They aren't a test score, they're a testimony of overcoming obstacles time and again. They're not a liability, they're a legacy. They're not a number, they're Natalia. They're not a dollar sign, they're Diego. They aren't a bargaining chip or an agenda, they're a Bilson or an Alejandra, or a Keandre, or Camilla, or Jake. They're Shinyao and Jimena. They're Rosie, Raphael, Ruyan, Sakimi, Sarah. They're Lexi, Leonel, and Lionel. But more than that, they're not just students. They're ours. I'd like to leave you with one final quote from a favorite movie of mine, which quotes a brilliant book by Thomas More. For if you suffer your people to be ill-educated and their manners to be corrupted from their infancy, and then punish them for those crimes to which their first education disposed them, what else is to be concluded from this but that you first make them thieves and then punish them? If we don't have the opportunity to teach our children because we no longer have the means and permissions to do so, or to advocate for them when need arises, we leave them to whatever first education they received. Please, we know the kind of people that you are. We know the values you hold, and we know that you love these children as much as we do. And we ask from the bottom, I personally ask from the bottom of my heart, be brave with us, take a stand, not against anyone, but for our kids. We know you care. We've seen it. History has seen it. And yet again, we ask that you would stand with us as we stand with you. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
There's no one on this.
So no patron comments, miscellaneous item J. Any questions about that? Okay, +2 is what I have. I have +2.
Oh, +2.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.